Jays have done really, really well
Yeah.
this year and historically. You see all those 2015, 2016 guys throwing out the first pitch, and like they're not done. They don't throw the first pitch and leave. Like Jose Bautista and Marco Estrada were at the party after the game, and we're a big part of that. Like, that's cool. And like Russell Martin, like all those guys coming back, and it really, I guess what it makes it feel like is there is a bigger connection of like this is the entire franchise pushing for this World Series. The 2015, 2016 guys were amazing, but didn't get the job all the way done. They had really big moments, and it meant a lot to them and the city and fan base and the country, but they didn't get the job done. And now this is their chance to be a part of these guys getting the job done and going to the World Series. So I don't know, man. Like the Leafs try to do that stuff too. The Raptors do it, but there's a real connective tissue, and I think they're going to trot out a bunch of the 92, 93 guys in this series. Like Joe Carter's going to throw out one of the first pitches. I'd imagine Cito's back or something like that. But yeah, I think they do. And this is more, again, I think it's more the fans deserve the credit than anything. There is a real kind of connective tissue, right down to the fact that Jeff Hoffman closes out the game and he was traded at the 2015 deadline to like make that run a possibility. So I don't know. It feels like an entire franchise is pulling, not just this year's team.
Well, you know what else though too is you're right that they've done a much better job in terms of maintaining relationships with former players. Because I do remember there was a different time with that. Like Vernon Wells was pretty publicly outspoken about his divided relationship with this team, and I think that they've actually gotten to a much better place now. But yeah, you didn't always necessarily feel that. But this franchise, just as you're talking about it, they kind of had the perfect, like 2015 was so big because it was this, hey, everybody's sort of back in. You know what I mean? Like if you're a fan who watched 93 and you got to experience it, like Ennis was talking about this yesterday, how that ignited his love of sport.
Well, he's so much older than us.
Yes, he's way older than us. He's ancient. He's a bag of bones, dusty old bones, full of green dust. He was ignited by this, and there's obviously fans who are older than him that got to see those memories and have those moments. And then 2015 comes along and kind of rekindles that for the large portion of that group, but also gives it to a lot of new fans. And when you go down to the ballpark, one of the cool things about it is that, like, you see Joe Carter jersey, right? You see a lot of people wearing 93 Jays stuff, a lot of vintage attire as well. There's some Roy Halladay stuff in there because it's like, yeah, Halladay and Delgado had some, like, they resonated with the fan base.
Also, who else's jersey are you going to buy in that era?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, by the time 2015 came along, like, what you see still, I would say, the majority of the jerseys that are there, it's almost a 50-50 split between the 2015 era and the guys now, and the Bo Bichettes and the Guerrero Juniors. And there's a really cool mix in that stadium that we probably don't talk about enough, which is the fan base is very unified across a lot of different age groups. Kids love the Blue Jays. Grandparents love the Blue Jays. They've been around like in a kind of perfect segment of time where everybody's got a Blue Jay memory that's alive and watching this team. And with the Leafs, like you think about that stuff, it's like it hasn't been accessible so long for a lot of younger fans. So when they do go to a game, it's like it's a smaller pocket of young people that are at these hockey games. That now you get like the youthful rejuvenation of a fan base that's inside the stadium, having fun, having drinks, and then also still like older people who are really deeply appreciative of the moment because they know how infrequent this has been and what you kind of have to do to crystallize these moments. Like it's an awesome atmosphere outside of just standing up and what they do on the Jumbotron and the drinks that they're serving.
Yeah, and like 32 years is not that long to go without a World Series. Like the Mariners still haven't been to one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to pick on them or whatever.
But that's why I felt, by the way, kind of bad for Mariners fans when people were doing all the like sending me the videos of their radio calls. I was like, I liked this for the Yankees.
Yeah.
It's a little different when you do this with teams like the Guardians and the Mariners and like, you know, the teams
it's
that
punching down.
Yeah, it really is. It feels kind of ugly. It feels like what Yankees fans would have done to us.
Do that to the Dodgers fans.
Yes, 100%.
Because they've only been Dodgers fans for like an hour and a half.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
But yeah, the other thing, so like timeline-wise, it's a good point. And like 9 years ago is not that long ago, but it's long enough ago that like those guys still hold a bit of, I guess, like short-term nostalgia. And the way it is, like, if you Ennis isn't actually that old, but it's like, oh, if your memories are 92, 93, and that's what you're talking about right now, it's like, okay, Grandpa. And then we're talking about 2015, 2016. We get hit with the okay, Unc.
Yeah.
And then now is,
We are Unc.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, heading into the playoffs, like one of the things that I was thinking about a lot is like, okay, I was too young for 92, 93. Like I was alive, but I was not locked in on baseball. I was a toddler, and I was a hockey kid. So I have nothing from 92, 93.
Yep.
2015, 2016, I have a lot of core memories. I was in the industry, but I wasn't covering the Blue Jays. So I was doing my Raptors freelance stuff and Raptors Public, but all those Jays games were as a fan. But I had friends of me, like Jonah Birnbaum and I watched the bat flip together, and his roommate at the time who now works for the
No,
Blue
you
Jays.
made it was the 2015 and 16 runs in terms of some of your friends. You can kind of put them down to a lot of people that are our age, as almost like a second college in terms of creating.
And like I'm
some of your friends.
new-ish to the city. Like I had been here a couple years, but like you haven't built any of those memories yet. So wild card game with my friend Heyman's from home, and like there was a picture of me where I do not look sober celebrating that home run. So I don't know. I thought a lot about like what are those core memories going to be for people this time around, and I think we got the answer to one of those the other day. That George Springer, like obviously, like everyone is going to be, oh yeah, the ALDS game 1, game 2, that's against the Yankees. Vlad has these huge moments. Those are cool. But the Springer home run is going to be like the bat flip game, where if you actually believed everyone who said that they were at that game, Rogers Center held 500,000 people for the bat flip game, because like more people say they were at the bat flip game than could have been at the bat flip game. And I think that's going to be the case for the Springer home run too, where it's not quite as he didn't flip the bat. It wasn't after a 35-minute inning of absolute nonsense against a team they genuinely hated. But that's going to be a really cool one. So I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about that stuff of like obviously trying to stay in the moment and enjoy this, but also like, oh shoot, that's the one. That's the one people are like. George Springer's going to be coming on the JD Bunkis podcast in 2035 when the Blue Jays, punch a wild card ticket when there's like 18 wild card teams each year. And you're like, yeah, George, can we talk about the Game 7 home run?
I can't wait to. You don't know what that meant to me. You go, yeah, I've heard that from.
How bad did it hurt when you on one knee when you were hopping down the first base line?
You know what is kind of cool too with this run is when I went to all those games in 15 and 16. Up until now, so I sold my tickets to bat flip games, kind of like that. I decided I was with 4 other really good friends. I couldn't decide who I was going to give the other ticket to, so just decided to sell, and we went to a bar and we watched it, and now it's a lucky bar that we go to before going to the games. But I was at the Edwin Edwin walk-off. But outside of that, I was looking at my playoff record. Those other runs, they lost a lot of games at home.
Dude, I went to game. Yeah. I went to the first game that they had in the playoffs in decades and decades, and it was awful.
Yeah, the force field game with the extra innings. Wait, was that 2?
No, game 1 was David Price, and it just didn't go well right from the jump.
Okay, right. Yeah, but game 2 I went to, and it was the Edwin hit a ball to the center field, and I thought it was gone for a walk-off, went to extra innings. And it basically looked like it hit a force field, died, and they end up losing that game. I went to R.A. Dickey, getting smashed up, touched up. Went to those Guardians games where it was
even
one win, but
think of the bat flip game is they didn't win a game at home until the decisive game.
That's what I mean. So
they dropped everything.
One of the other cool things about this run is that people have been able to go watch 2 Yankees games where it's pandemonium and celebration, and now you get a couple of games against the Mariners, which originally started with 2 losses.
Yeah, they're 4-2 at home.
But that's it. You've gotten 4 home wins. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to be at all those. That's kind of changed my ledger in terms of the record at home. But that's not something, like if you were at the bat flip game, you had that, I know what it's like to be in the stadium when things are rocking and going nuts. If you were at the wild card game against Baltimore, you really have the true understanding of, I know what it's like to be in that stadium going nuts. But now there's 4 others that get added to the tally. This is actually different than those other runs where most of us were celebrating in bars.
Yeah. The wild card one's so fast.